what guidance do you have for people joining us today when they're on the receiving end of micro inequities? And so you're in a meeting and someone interrupts you, or they mispronounce your name yet
Yeah.
again, or they co-opt your idea, or they don't make eye contact with you when you're speaking. I mean, I could like list a
Yeah.
million examples of micro inequities. And let's not even call them micro inequities because they're just inequities.
Yeah.
So yeah, like, do you have a short name? Do you have a nickname? Is there another, I can't tell you how many times people have like wanted to give me a new name and I'm like, as if.
Yeah.
So, what should a woman of color, or what can a woman of color
Yeah.
do when a micro inequity comes her way?
Yeah. And it's funny, I call a lot of micro equities or microaggressions now racism, right? And it's
Yeah,
kind of
let's
a
call it what it
spectrum,
is.
right? Like a lot of them are racist. So I know, like, and this has taken me a long time to figure out. So two things. One is I know when someone says something, I don't react right away. I will sit with it for about 10 minutes if I'm on the border of, is this really that bad, or can I let it go? Because it takes a lot to fight everything, right? Like you can't fight every sort of comment because they happen all the time. So in 10 minutes, if I still feel uncomfortable, I will say or do something. You have to figure out for you, like what's your barometer, but I listen to my gut. So that's one thing I've learned over time. The second is I know now in my life that there are probably three things that I'm going to get on a weekly basis. The things people are going to say to me, oh, you speak English so well. Where did you learn how to speak it? Even though I was born in this country. Oh, your name is so long. So it's 13 letters, right? Like, so some comment about my name. And then usually some comment about my age, right? You look younger than you were. When I was a partner, I was in my early 30s. So just a lot of commentary around that, right? And so what I tell people is, women of color in particular, you kind of know the things that are going to kind of come up for you, right? Like, you know, the 3 to 5 to 7 things, and to practice what you're going to say. Because I think part of what happens in those moments, and the research shows this, is that we feel pain and shame, and the shame takes over. So we're not able to actually say something. So I literally started to practice writing out what I'm going to say to those 3 things that come up for me. But then I also now work with women to actually verbalize it out loud, because there is a difference in, and you probably know this better than I do, in writing it and actually saying it. Something happens in your body where the shame takes over, and you're not able to say it. So practice what you're going to say. And I'll give you an example. There was a young woman in her early 20s who said to me, Deepa, my name is long too. And now what I say is, oh, you can't say my name, or you've made some comment about my name. Well, you learned how to say Arnold Schwarzenegger's name. You can learn how to say my name. And she just says it, no apology, and just says it straight, right? And I thought that was a beautiful way of saying it. I think so many of us have been coached or taught, especially at work, to be collegiate, to be nice, to get along. And we don't realize you can set a boundary. You can stand up for yourself. You can say, like, that doesn't work for me, in a way that is actually appropriate and doesn't have to be aggressive, assertive, or put people off. And so that's really what I think is most helpful. What's interesting is now when I work with white leaders, I will say, I want you to practice what you're going to say when you see a racist incident happening, because you also haven't been taught what to say. So I want you to practice writing it out, and then I want you to practice saying it. So it's not on you and I every time it happens in the room, right? So if I get spoken over, I want a white leader to say, Bob, that's a great idea, but it sounds similar to what Deepa said 2 ideas ago. Deepa, do you want to add anything? Because I think Bob did a great job of adding to your idea. And so just that would be wonderful, right? So I don't have to sit there spinning of, should I just say, Bob, that's my idea,
Yeah. So I love that so much. I'm going to come back to Bob and allyship in a moment, because there was a question that was submitted that touches on that. I really want to honor what you have just said. I love what you have just shared around dealing with racist experiences that come our way. And I'm thinking about how we know from neuroscience that when someone engages in racism in our midst, it can be highly activating.
Mm-hmm.
And so the second we feel like our nervous systems are activated, we're into nervous system response, like fight, flight, freeze, fawn, and more. And essentially, a lot of us, we just shut down.
Mm-hmm.
And so in that moment, it's really hard for us to speak and to act. And it's not because we're not empowered. It's not because we're less intelligent. It's not even that we're not prepared. It's like, it can just knock the wind out of our sails. And so I want to honor that, first of all, that going forward, if you find yourselves in that situation, sometimes we may tend to want to self-flog around it, or be like, braid ourselves, like, someone disrespected me and I didn't say anything. It's like, no, we're human. It hurts our feelings. It's hard. And our bodies, our nervous systems actually have a physiological response.